This is part two. This is how we actually get into drawing. So I've gone over the UI and how to navigate it, but it's very bare bones, very basic. So this is how you actually get started with the drawing. I'm gonna just go over a couple of things in this video and show you how you can get started with drawing. Everybody has a different approach. You might already have an approach, but other people have their approaches. There are very good videos out there and courses out there on drawing concepts and stuff. Basically, before you get started with a drawing, you should have a fair understanding of what a line is, the different types of lines, forms, and shapes. I wanted to go through that in this video, but it would be so super convoluted. So if you want to see a video on that and have a better understanding of shapes, forms, and lines and how that matters, as well as maybe like color and what's it called, hue and tones and all that. If you want to go through that, we can go through it in a separate video. So I'm assuming that you have some idea of how you want to draw, and or you have some concept of how your workflow is. So I'll show you different methods. Maybe you have a sketch on paper, right? And you want to transfer it into Sketchbook so that you can maybe go over it and digitize it, or you want to start from scratch. So we can start from scratch using the tools here. And yeah, let's go. So in order to get started with drawing, you have an idea of like some of the tools. So it's also good to know which tools you're going to use the most, which are your brushes and your colors and your layers. So on layer 1, this is the first layer. I don't label it or anything, but for the sake of looking super professional, I'm just gonna label it with red. All right. I don't think you can name your layers in this app, unfortunately, which would have made it more organized, but it's for a mobile platform, so whatever. What I like to do personally is take a color like red and use a very soft brush. This brush right here is one of the legacy brushes, which means it's one of the older brushes that they started with. It's an airbrush. I use it for skin tones and stuff. If we want to do a person's face or portrait, which let's do now, I guess. And I also use it for the basic lines. You could choose any brush you want or feel more comfortable with. All right. So in order to draw, what I usually do is I go and do my first sketch. So we are creating, let's do a face so I can show you the legacy brushes and how they work, I guess. All right, so what we have here is the head. This is not a how to draw, this is a how to draw in Autodesk. And so therefore I'm not really going to explain too much on the method I'm using to draw the head. But if you want to see that, you can see it in another vid. All right, here we go. So what we have here is like a simple head, right? Give him a nose, the ridge of the eyes, and boom. There we go. I'm just guessing with the proportions. It might not be the best. Don't hate. Okay. So there you go. We got a little Charles over here. This is our character. This is our figure. And we want to turn, like now we've done, this is basically digital art already. It's just art that's digitized. So let's see. We've got this guy right here. let's give him some eyebrows, and let's give him a hairline. Okay, let's give him maybe a kind of high top-ish kind of haircut. Okay, so on layer, this is the first layer. If you understand how layers work, you can create another layer. You can move it on top or on bottom. Let's label this one violet. Okay, what I do afterwards personally is go and use the pen tool, the inking pen. Make sure it's black. And then what I like to do afterwards is make sure that I have the predictive stroke thing. That way the lines can look a lot more sharp. So we can start with the nose. This might be a little bit rough, so if you have a stylus that has pressure sensitivity, that's good because the app can recognize very different levels of pressure sensitivity. So if that's part of your workflow or your style, then you're right at home here. Okay. All right. So there we go. I'm not trying to make the perfect figure, just a demonstration. So we do the eyes. Do the eyebrows. Okay. And then you do the hair. Okay. And then you do the outline of the hair. Boom. Okay. You know what? Let me give this dude a little mustache. Beard. Not mustache, beard. And okay. All right. So, all right. You just draw this here. Do the rest of the lines. Nice and simple. Then the eyes. Nice and simple. Okay. What we can do now is look at the basic tools that we looked at before. We have the selection tool, which is what it does is it selects a certain area of pixels and then it allows you to manipulate just that area of pixels. I'm going to use the magic wand. So what that does is if you have an enclosed area already, it's going to pick up on that. You can click that and then you can manipulate that area. So let me demonstrate by using the fill. And I want to make that area black. Now I've clicked on fill. By the way, this right here is your linear gradient, radial gradient, and then these are other effects right here. I'm going to tap on it, hit the X, go back to the selection, go out of it. Now the hair is black because that's what I wanted. All right, now I can get rid of the lower layer, create a layer on top of it because I like to keep my reference. And then we're gonna go and get ourselves this paintbrush tool right here. I'm gonna go for a brown color. You select the color you want. Increase the size of the brush. You could easily select and then use a paint bucket tool, but for some reason I just like this approach, and I use it for any of the work I do. There we go. All right. So that's the skin tone. There we go. All right. So we have our skin tone in a separate layer. Some people can draw everything on one layer. That's not my approach. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this one. And when I duplicate it, I'm going to hit the transparency lock. So what, for those who don't know, the transparency lock allows you to lock the pixels that you've created. So all the brown that we created is now locked. That means if I draw on any other part of the layer, you're not going to see anything else. So only that area is going to be affected. Now, after I duplicate it, I go for the soft brush, the airbrush tool, and I'm going to go for a darker shade, and that's what I'm going to use for my shadows. There are other ways to do that. You could use multiply, and you could use color burn or whatever. I just go for a darker shade most of the time. It depends on how I'm feeling. So I would darken the areas that I would feel are darkest. You can infer where the light would come from depending on your own piece. Some people don't really care about all that. They just want to give that illusion. So I'll go and darken other parts under the nose, the lips. Go for an even darker shade to give that extra depth. All right, just to give it some depth. All right, then I'm going to select that. If you hold on with your thumb or stylus onto the color on this color picker right here, this right here, if you go up while holding and dragging, you can make it lighter or darker. If you go the opposite way, it'll either saturate or desaturate it. Okay. If you click on the tool itself, that hold, when you scroll up, it's going to change the flow to 100 or to 0. If you go to the side, to the right side is larger, to the left side is smaller. So that's a little trick just to make sure that you have like some extra stuff going on. I hope I didn't create another layer. Good. Let's do this all on the same layer. You can do it on a different one if you feel like. I add some lighter tone. Make sure that I don't have the... Okay. I add a lighter tone to where the cheek area is. The ridge of the nose. Above the lip. Right? The parts that protrude out most catch more light. So you can have some parts of the chest. Should have done a female. All right. So now I can go back, just go for a darker tone. Make sure if you're using real dark color like black over a skin tone, make sure that you use your pressure sensitivity so you know exactly what you're getting. Also, if you're drawing people with pale skin types too. Okay. Alright. Make sure your color, always using your color selector so you know exactly what you're getting. Okay. There's something wrong with the... Alright. So, yeah, you draw the shape of whatever you're trying to draw. You know, the sides of the nose have this, just a little bit of a light that hits it in a certain kind of way. But it also depends on what kind of figure you're trying to draw. Alright. And I can go to a next layer, color this part in. Just make sure it's colored in. Whatever brush you want to use. I'll delete that by using the eraser. And there you go. So remember that this is just a little quick sketch. You can fancy it up any kind of way. And it's just to show you an example of the other stuff, like the stuff that you can do in the app. I'm gonna save the extra methods for a different video. Give me any feedback in the comments if you want to see anything else specific. So probably the next video, what I'm gonna do in the next one is show you how to take a picture and import it in here, or add pictures. Let me give you a brief demonstration before I go anyway. Then. So if you want to add pictures, let's say you want to add a background to this, right? You import your image. Okay, let's say I'll choose this first one. Oh, it's not. Sometimes there's a little wonkiness that goes on with it. Let's go to gallery. And then let's download anything. So because I don't want to go through my gallery over here, because you people don't need to see what's going on in there. You could drag down this image to the back and manipulate the image to do whatever, like for whatever purpose, no matter how nefarious it is, you want. And then you can add a background, you could trace over it, you could do whatever. You could also use your blending modes to change the effect of the lighting or the look, and come up with any kind of effect that you're looking for, and then manipulate the image. So this is just a quick demonstration. If you want something more detailed, let me know in the comments. And see you in the next one.